Hey folks, welcome to Friendly Orbit, the podcast that draws us together no matter how far we fly. I'm Ceres, ready to snatch magical evolutionary magic from the jaws of a giant megaraptor, and joined this week I am by...
Definitely not too much into bag people. It's Thea.
Hey Thea, welcome back. More world
Yay.
building, more microscope, more big,
Microscope.
awesome creatures.
Yeah. More megafauna for our mega listeners.
Alright, let's roll the intro. They know what's happening. Actually, maybe not. Should we summarize and then roll the intro? Yes, we should. Alright,
Last time we started playing Microscope, a cool collaborative game to world build together.
And we built a world together. It is a fantasy world. It has eras. It features technology getting better over time. But most importantly, this is megafauna world. There's all Godzilla monsters running around everywhere. Humans are not in charge. In fact, in this setting, humans don't even exist.
And the Godzillas can cast spells. Whoa!
Yeah, Godzilla can cast spells, and you can worship Godzilla. In fact, you probably do, because what else would you worship in this setting? No real-life space physics, no physiologically accurate physics, but it is evolution clock all the time in this place. We set up a few different ages. The dawn of consciousness. So we don't even know really what the dawn of life is, but we know when life starts to think about itself. Then we have a Myconid era. We have an age of floating cities, which is currently uncharted canvas. Nothing in that yet. And the last era of this world, which is the apex of the abyss, eats the world. Womp womp. Or just part of the cycle of life, depending on if you're a Buddhist or not. We've done all the opening parts of the game, and we've done one focus round, which was we focused on the diversity of conscious peoples in this world. But we're about to do some more. Also, we came up with a little bit of homebrew, but that's probably after the intro stuff. So,
Punch
did I do a good job?
Yes. Punch it.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Hey, you want to know a time travel trick? We're recording now faster than they will be listening to now.
What?
Like, we say hit the intro, and then we click off, then we don't listen to the intro. We just hit record again. So they're still in the intro.
We're in the future, baby. We're in the future.
Exactly. They're not even here yet.
Oh, no. Is this like the after credit bit?
I don't know yet.
Oh, no. We're so much more in the future than we thought we were. We're at the end of the episode already.
Oh, wait. No, shit. They've caught up. They're here now. 30 seconds are over. They're here. Oh, hello. Welcome.
Hello. Welcome. We were talking about you.
We were talking about you, and we won't tell you what we said. Thea, we came up with some homebrew for this game.
We did. Next to legacies, we have principles. Principles are a part of the game that we actually will collaborate on. And we will set general rules for this world, which we will probably need considering that this is a world we will play with role-playing games. It's like systems in. So for our first principle, we were already talking at the end of last episode about the idea that all magic in this world, by one mean or another, is essentially pact magic or divine magic. So through pacts and bonds to specific incarnate deities of this world, one can get specific types of magic.
Yes.
So, Ceres, how do you want to phrase it?
I want to phrase it pretty much like that. All magic is derived from the worship and study of the megafauna. And since we kind of already have set up this idea that technology gets more and more advanced as time goes on in this setting, I think all the early magic should be more worship, and all of the later magic should be more study. I mean, maybe not all, but you know what I mean. Like that's kind of the trend, right? Is that we
Mhm.
go from worship to study. But yeah, and so I think that's cool. I like the idea that the Four Eyes Wise people got their protean blob magic powers from the protean slug that birthed them, right? That they worship. So I think that's a cool idea, and I like that idea, and I feel like that's a helpful structural principle for designing other conscious peoples of this world around.
Mhm.
And obviously it's homebrew. If we don't like it, we can change how this works later. But I thought it was cool if maybe once per round we could
Mhm.
set down a principle together. And if you're okay with the principle as it's phrased, I would then it's your turn. You're the lens.
Yeah. All right. It is my turn. I'm the lens. I will declare that I think we did a lot of work in the early age, and I think we'll come back to this for sure.
Mm.
But now I want the new focus to be the first empire.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure this was a world of empire, but now it is.
Well, it's not a world that has empires that control an entire region. But
Yeah,
I
that seems
think
hard,
that
right?
I think yeah, exactly.
What
But
if
I
the
think
slug
that
mom comes through
yeah,
and slimes you?
exactly.
Then
Yeah. But there might be a city of Four Eyes Wise people that decides it's annexing the neighboring Four Eyes Wise people cities that are built on the next tree. Might be a good idea for the economy.
All right.
And I imagine the empires would be a lot more disconnected than our
Mm.
traditional land empires are. I think they would feel a lot more like colonial empires, where you have like mother base and then you have like the colony, and like getting to the colony is a hassle.
I could
But
kind of see that.
yeah,
Why don't you put down your stuff?
yeah, I'm going to I'm going to add here. I'm going to shift the age of floating cities. The age of floating cities is moving down the ladder. And I am calling the era after the Myconid era uh, 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 the
Simple names are fine, right?
the birth of cities, the birth
Okay.
of the birth of great cities.
Okay.
Yeah. The birth
All
of
right. So
great
Dawn
cities.
of the Great Cities.
Yeah, and I want to use Dawn again. We already have Dawn.
Yeah, well, but this is why the naming. This is what the naming pass is for.
Yeah, the birth of great cities, and I'll create an event in it. The It's going to be King Flagellus III from the probably from the F.E.W.P.
Mm.
From the F.E.W.P. Occupies the lower branches of the mother tree.
Okay.
And that's going to be kind of the first step into the first step towards imperial conquest.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm gonna say that the birth of the great cities is, especially in hindsight, a dark era. Like it might have felt great at the time. Like
all right.
yeah,
I'm gonna add. Oh, sorry. No, it is my turn now. Yes.
it's your turn.
All right. My event that I want to add comes probably pretty late in the era of the birth of the great cities, which is the first empire. Sorry. Excuse
So
me, I
just to be
misspoke.
clear,
The first.
when I say the first empire is not like the title of the empire.
Mhm,
It's just like the
I
idea
know.
of like the first empire.
The first and last empire of the F.E.W.P.
Ooh, of the
uh,
F.E.W.P.
ends, and the F.E.W.P. die out.
Holy shit!
Yep,
They
the F.E.W.P.
die
go
out.
extinct. Yeah, they go
Oh,
extinct after like they're. I see it like a speciation, like a Darwin Finch sort of thing, where
mm-hmm.
like maybe we produce an empire where everyone has a specialized role, and the idea of these protean precursors, they just aren't around by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we do it more politically than just the evolutionary metaphor. So that's my one event. So I set the end of the first empire. Hey, let's do the height, right? I mean, if we're talking about the first empire, we
Yeah,
have to
I mean,
do the heights.
I didn't think that the first empire would end in the age of the birth of the great cities, but sure enough, that's what it is.
Okay.
That's what it is.
All right.
I mean, maybe the first empire wasn't even glorious and big enough to warrant that it names the entire age that it's from. It's just that it's the first one.
Yeah. Yeah,
So, you know.
exactly, right? It's like it's the first and last empire of the F.E.W.P., but other people might do empire stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. The Myconid era is really kind of randomly inserted now. I really feel like the Myconid era should be later.
No, I can see it kind of like in a way, like kind of like the first great extinction event caused by like
Yeah.
oxygen, where it's like life happens and like the first steps of life are immediately disastrous, but then we recover from that first incident and we figure this out a little bit better. Like maybe one of the first lessons that conscious beings learn in this world is like, do not create life without a god supervising. It's like,
That is actually a really cool point. And it's interesting because it's like
mushroom people seem like a cool and fun idea, and
exactly right.
they're not very smart, right? So they cannot rise up. And
It's
then
like a sustainability metaphor almost.
yeah,
Or I mean, not even almost. It
are
is.
we currently in the Myconid era of our world?
Exactly.
Do we have
we
no
totally
idea?
Are. You know we are. We
Yeah,
know.
you have no idea.
It.
It's like the dawn of consciousness is like the first 10,000 years of human history. Now we're in Myconid era, but everything else is like yeah.
Can't wait for Apex of the Abyss to eat the world. Yeah, like I mean, isn't it always hey, life becomes aware of the thought, hey, I can change things, and then life becomes aware of the thought, hey, what if I didn't though? That was bad.
And then life goes like, I bet it was bad because of the specific thing that I did. I think I can. I bet I can do
fix
better.
It. Wait, let me try again. Yeah. I'm not sure the principle was flawed, just the execution.
Yes. What I have learned is that I should get better at changing things.
All right. So I think if I do this speciation metaphor that the first and last empire dies with the F.E.W.P. dying, right? Then I think the F.E.W.P. colonies bond new gods to fulfill their functions / adapt to their colonial environment. So this is sort of the height of the first empire, maybe the glory that sets the path for the downfall.
Yeah. Okay. My turn. And we're going to do a scene, baby. We're going to actually play out a scene.
Okay, how do scenes work with like... Is it going to be a scene that I'm a part of? And if so, then how does that work?
Oh, yeah. You're going to be a part of this.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so first, I want to create an event that the scene is a part of. Because I might have to create two nested things. This is going to be brutal. I am going to say that I don't have a name. I'm gonna just throw out a name there. Shar, which is
Mm-hmm.
also a D&D thing, but not a goddess here. Shar,
Whatever.
the first blade of the Bug Queen.
I see.
Has no mercy upon the surviving F.E.W.P. And that comes before the F.E.W.P. die out.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
So it's genocide.
you can call it that. Or at the very least, it might be refusal to help. The F.E.W.P. maybe are dying out on their own, and there's like, we will let the F.E.W.P. have their
Okay.
own. Okay, so making a played scene. So we have to state a question. A question for like what question is the scene going to answer? And this is important because then we know when to stop roleplaying. And
Okay.
we're going to set the stage about like what do we already know from history? Who are the characters here? What's going on? We're going to pick the characters. I will pick available characters and which ones are banned, but like we don't have many characters going on right now, so I think we know pretty much who will be who.
Yeah.
Choose a character that helps you answer the question. Yeah. So and then we will reveal thoughts before we actually start playing. So we will tell each other what our characters are thinking.
Okay.
So I am going to state the question. Why did Shar choose not to help the remaining F.E.W.P? So this is not about Shar choosing to kill them all, but it's about not helping dying people survive.
All right, so I feel like one of us has to play Shar, one of us has to play King Flagellus or someone related.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So characters are definitely going to be characters. We have Shar. We have yeah, if you want to, since the F.E.W.P. are your creation, who do you want the F.E.W.P. To be represented by? Like King Flagellus
I feel like
III
at
is
this
probably
point in the
dead by now.
timeline, I feel like by this point in the timeline, King Flagellus might be dead.
Yeah,
And
like
I think it
3
would be quite
generations.
interesting to embody the perspective of Arc Priest Blob, because she's like the spiritual conduit to the Mother Slug. And I think her perspective in this scene will be interesting because she speaks to the culture and to the viewpoint of late F.E.W.P. society.
Very well. So why did Shar choose not to have her remaining F.E.W.P? The characters are Shar, our priest Blob. I think this is taking place like at what essentially is like the remaining the surviving blob, the surviving F.E.W.P. community that is struggling and is like slowly dying out. That's kind of like what's going on, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So who? I guess since you've been doing a lot of like blobs, do you want you to take blob, or do you want me to put a spin on this F.E.W.P. culture and then you take Shar?
I'm happy to take our Arc Priestess Blob. I was
All
wondering
right,
if we should do any more characters, because I know last time we did this, we had like each secondary characters, and I think it might be important to get Shar. Seems like she's from a strong colony. Might be interesting to have the perspective from someone from a weak colony.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Shar is not from a F.E.W.P. colony, right? She's from like the bug people. I'm not sure how you're using the word colony here.
Oh, okay.
But she's
so
the first
in my head, the way I was thinking of it, right, was that because it's an empire, I thought that the F.E.W.P. had taken over the Bug City and had taken over like the Mushroom City, and then had like a few other colonies for conscious species we haven't yet addressed, right? And sort of was doing like a colonial thing, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, that is the idea. But okay, so for what I was saying is more like, to me, like the blade of the Bug Queen is like definitely like a liberator from
Yeah,
like
and I was
liberating
thinking,
from the F.E.W.P. Empire.
and I feel like maybe the F.E.W.P had another colony that is not as militarily powerful and is not as likely to free itself as
Mm,
the bug people colony, right? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
but we are
Shar
at
seems
the
pretty tough, right? They
yeah.
seem like they have the upper hand in the situation. What if we had the perspective from a colony that is unlikely to get free unless the
Mhm.
F.E.W.P allow them to be free? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, even though at this point we're already at the end of the F.E.W.P. empires, they remain, right?
Well, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I just feel like a weaker ally of
Hmm.
Shar might be interesting to have. I mean, I don't know. That's
Okay.
just my thought.
Okay. Yeah, sure. We can have like if we imagine this being like a world of like still like a world of like heroes and adventuring. If we're going to play TTRPG in here, I mean, I imagine Shar is kind of like the Blade Warlock or the Paladin of the team that is like
Mm,
coming to liberate and like take like lead the charge. So maybe
yeah,
we have we have another priest, someone who's also a priest, maybe not an archpriest, but like a priest from the Myconids.
yeah. What if it was? What if we use a different term though? I mean, that we can do naming pass actually, but I think it would
Yeah.
be interesting if like each one had a different sort of
Yeah, sure. Spore Shaman.
or like a warlock or something like that, right?
Sure. Okay, Spore Shaman Puff.
Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Do
All
you
right,
want to
those are our three
play?
characters so far. Do you want to add
Sure.
another character to the scene?
Uh, sure. I'm gonna have a lowly miasma farmer
Nice.
from the blobs, from the
Yes.
F.E.W.Ps, a lowly miasma farmer.
All right.
Okay, so I'll take Shar and the lowly miasma farmer. I think it's good if
Cool.
we each take creatures from both sides.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's interesting. I'll take
Yeah.
Blob and Puff.
Perfect. Side characters like the miasma farmer and Puff are definitely like the side characters.
Of course.
So the main conversation will be between Shar and Blob.
All right.
And okay, so now we have to reveal thoughts about
Okay.
the main characters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say that Shar is thinking that helping up the F.E.W.Ps now could be trouble later down the road.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like a small sacrifice of F.E.W.Ps now might save the bug people a lot of pain down the road in terms of uprisings and insurgents and like reviving the nostalgic idea of reviving an ancient empire. But she is willing to hear the Archpriestess out.
Yeah. And I think the Archpriestess does not realize the position she's in. She's here to command Shar to come to her senses and understand the inherent superiority of the F.E.W.P way of doing things.
Ah, you poor Blob. You fool. What an absolute fool.
Yeah, you know, like, she does not understand that she's the one asking for help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Let's roleplay this scene.
Alrighty.
Okay, so I would say at the after breaking into through the fortification of the F.E.W.P, Shar and her companions lead break the gates from the inside of the fortress, and like the bug army marches in, and Shar meets Archpriestess Blob without Archpriestess being ready for it. That's why there's a lowly miasma farmer here, because Archpriestess Blob was like counseling
Yeah,
as the attack
exactly.
occurs. And so Shar and her team, including Puff, walk up to her. And Char's gonna be silent first. She's gonna let Archpriestess Blob speak first.
Okay. I see you finally reached the inner sanctum of F.E.W.P holiness.
Yes, indeed. And we are ready to take the city. And we will free. We're going to free our hostages. And we are going to let this we're going to leave you to rot. We know you don't have the means to sustain yourselves. So I don't think you are even worthy the swing of my blade. And as she does this, she like summons in her right hand her like keratin hex blade.
All right. Not worthy. No, I see there's a misunderstanding. I see that our relationships with the bug people are perhaps strained. Perhaps there is tension in the administration that needs to be solved. But there's no need to throw away this system of F.E.W.P governments. The only way a force such as ours can be good stewards and overlords of all the different colonies is by understanding the protean nature at the basis of the tree of life. And only the F.E.W.P perspective can give that. You've shown us that we need more strength. And within our coalition of our empire, you can have more influence. But why throw away the system of management that has endured the entire era?
Coalition is a bold word coming from you. And I don't think that you realize you're in no position to handle. The miasma fields are gone. Your capital city, your population, you're overextended. And without the colonies providing you with food, I'm afraid you're underestimating how much you depend on us, Archpriestess. And now that we haven't...
There's nothing the protean slime cannot regrow. You speak for yourselves, but why not hear from your ally here? Surely the Empire has not been harsh on the likes on the likes of the Myconid.
I would have something to say about that, but perhaps my fellow Puff, you would like to say something to Archpriestess Blob?
Fuck you! I hate the spore mines. Life is terrible. Your culture is a poison. I, of all people, should know my culture was a poison last eon. You're the poison now. Die, bitch. My.
At this point, a lowly miasma farmer drops to her wobbly, squishy knees, if she has any. We beg for forgiveness, Archpriest, great Shar, and and Puff. Yeah, Puff has, we said the name. Yes, and yeah, all powerful Shar and all powerful Puff. We have. Yes, it is true. We might have abused our power over you, but do not repeat our same mistakes. Please show us mercy, and it will not be thrown. It will not go in vain. We are our miasma field. It is true, they are gone. I am. Our land is barely able to provide us with food anymore. And at this point, you can kind of see that, like, maybe Shar is considering, not for the archpriestess, but for this lowly miasma farmer, that perhaps she should actually help these people.
Shut up, you muling worm. Everyone knows the inherent nature of blobbiness, as given to us by the slug mother, is rigidity and hierarchy. We haven't lost our way. You have.
With these...
The miasma will never rest until the Empire's been returned. You'll be fighting us for generations. You'll never get away with this.
Yeah, you're willing. Yeah, you speak of perhaps giving us more independence, but I don't think, Archpriestess Blob, that your connection to the divine will ever really allow you to let go of control. Tell me, would you be willing to do to us as we had to do unto you, to become a colony of the bug people and serve and provide us with resources, and let us, the strong, rule upon you.
And lie in the beds of heretics? I think not.
And with this, Char swings her blade and chops off her head.
Yeah, I don't think Blob's. I think Blob's dead. Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh man.
I will turn
The
toward the
F.E.W.P.
lowly miasma. I will turn to the miasma farmer. Go beg your god for mercy. We are done here. And yeah, does Puffs have anything else to say or to do?
Rotten piss.
There is the archpriestess's like head on the floor.
I think Puff is just full of hate.
Okay. That's the cycle of violence. All right. Shara will leave, and the capital will be sacked. The bug people prisoners will be taken, and the city will be left to die.
I mean, I think that's totally true, right? You don't even Shar doesn't even have to do a genocide. It's just like what you were saying, right? Without the colonies to feed the metropole, it'll inevitably collapse.
Yeah, that's true. There we have it.
They've become specialized towards administration and management of an empire. Without all of that, all of their skills are kind of useless, and everybody hates them right now. It takes like one minor natural disaster that would probably just be the death blow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we can come back to this and see and see more about what was going on here. But yeah, this is the end. I've done my two things. Now it's your turn to pick a legacy.
Okay. Yeah, I want to quickly RIP to the F.E.W.P, right? They started out so wise, and then they clearly lost their way. They did some pretty terrible stuff, and they died, leaving us with a sense of a mythical precursor peoples who
they did the first empire.
They did the first empire, and they made the mushroom people.
They made the mushroom.
And then what happened? Well, what happened was the first empire. All right,
I mean,
legacies.
they might have wise in their name, but I feel like they might have given it to themselves, because like I feel like these people have made all the mistakes. They created life, they did the Frankenstein thing, and then they made the imperialism thing. So
Yeah, I mean, 4 Eyes smart people might have been better. But yeah, no, I think you're right. Like I think they were maybe once wise in the early days, but they did a lot of not so good stuff, and then now they're gone. All right, what is the legacy? What is the legacy that we take from this? The legacy I take from this, what I thought was like most interesting was the like I think I'll take I'll take the mythological or like the legacy of the F.E.W.P, right?
Yeah, the mythological
like
status
the myths
of
we
the
tell
F.E.W.P.
each other about this early age of and all the stuff that they did, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know that they literally made the mushroom people, but how many other myths are there,
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, you can create one more event now or scene related to the legacy of the F.E.W.P.
The legacy of the F.E.W.P, huh? All right. I think in the age of floating cities, the protean slug magic is rediscovered, and its ability to bond, or like its ability to like its abilities of transformation allow for technological advances. Like, I think in the age of floating cities, the protean slug magic, the magic of the F.E.W.P is not used by, like, there's not like a slug people now, but it's rediscovered and it's used for to power technology in a non-religious way. And it's sort of like rediscovering an ancient power source and integrating it into a modern society in a new way that unlocks, yeah. That's the event. It's scientific abilities of transformation. All right, that's the legacy of the
That's
F.E.W.P.
the legacy. Cool.
All right,
No.
do we want to do? Do we have a principle in mind that we want to do?
I think not yet, but like if we,
I have an
I feel
idea
like
for
I feel
a
like
principle.
we haven't talked a lot about like the actual nature of this world. We've talked a lot about its people, but we've talked very little about the environment. But like we have already kind of talked about how the environment is supposed to work. So I guess that makes for a better focus than for I think. Yeah. I'm ready. I have the button on the. I have my finger on the button.
All right, hit play on the button then. Alrighty, principles. I have two ideas for principles that I could pitch you on. The one was you talked about like the nature of what is an empire in this setting, right? We could set a principle that defines like the sort of scale of society, right? Are we talking about like we could write a principle that's like, it's like Redwall rules, right? Where it's like we all like the known world is like a very small place and is like this valley, right? And there's like the empire that controlled the whole valley would to us on our planet look like a small town basically, right? We could do something like that where we define the scale of civilization, or like whether known the boundaries of the map are known. I was also thinking we could do as a principle like the scale of another thing I was thinking of was the scale of like plants, right? Or like the environment. Like, are we tiny in a gigantic environment, or are we normal sized? Like, are trees 7 million feet tall, or are they like 20 feet tall? Another thing I was thinking we could do as a principle, because it feeds into the birth of the great cities, is I was thinking it could be an interesting principle to say no sentient speciation events occurred after the era of the birth of the great cities. You'd be like, this is the end. Like, as of here, our lineages are sort of set and they just move through the eras.
No, I like the first thing.
You like the first thing?
Yeah. So
okay.
I think we can set in terms of like size and scope. I mean, I think that considering that we're going to hit eventually like planet space stuff, like the scope of the world should be the entire planet. Like not in the beginning necessarily, but like at some point we have technology to like get all over the planet, right?
I guess.
So
maybe it sounds like we're in charge at that point. Maybe we're not.
Well, not in charge, but like like we're not in charge of Venus, but we can send like a probe everywhere in orbit around Venus. And like by similar principle, we might not be able to like conquer everything, but we can have like our floating cities will like roam the skies and are able to go wherever they want.
So what would you set as the principle then?
Well, I wanted to say I don't think there should be like a boundary in terms of like physical location, but in terms of principle, we can talk about like the size of cities, definitely like the size of like settlements. Like we can say no settlement grows bigger than 1 million people, which is like that's the cap.
I would rather do like a spatial boundary marker, right? Like no settlement is bigger than a tree, for instance.
Bigger than a tree, and then we have a tree. Then we have trees are huge. Trees are the size of mountains.
Yeah,
or
I
something
mean,
like that.
we could decide. I mean, it
Mhm.
looks like this King Flagellus is going to the lower
Yeah,
branches of the mother
of,
tree. So I mean, it sounds like trees
yeah,
are pretty. If an
yeah,
empire
pretty
is a whole
fucking.
tree, it seems like it's pretty big.
Yeah, I mean that's not necessarily like the tree, like the scale of the entire tree is the empire at its peak, but yeah, you could definitely have multiple like settlements in the same tree.
Mm.
So I think mountains are a good like kind of like layman, not layman's term, but like a rule of thumb.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, okay, cool. We have a new principle. No
All
settlements go
right.
bigger than a tree. Trees are the size of mountains.
I
Okay,
have a new focus for you.
it's your turn to do a focus. Yeah, focus me.
So here's the focus. As I've been thinking about this for a little bit, something
Mhm.
I feel is missing. We haven't done enough of yet. You talked about big animals and biology of the system, and
Mhm.
I think that that is relevant. But you know what I want to talk about first?
What?
Extinction events. Blah, blah. I want to do a round where we focus on all the different extinction events that divide the different eras. Um, I think let's start off because I wanted to do this one before. So let's do the Myconid era. Let's do the Myconid extinction, where the fungal network basically parasitizes. I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I mean. The entire ecosystem, and then collapses because there's no hosts. That is the event, and you and me are going to do a scene together. And the question of the scene is, I think I'm allowed to do this. You tell me if I'm not. What did we learn from the Myconid extinction? And by we, I obviously mean sentient life on this fantasy world.
Yeah.
So, what characters do you want to bring in here?
I mean, it's your scene, but we could definitely have a maybe like a Myconid necromancer that was like played a role in this extinction.
Mm.
We could.
Gills, the biggest, baddest Myconid necromancer to still be alive at this point. How about that?
Sure.
All right, so we
Who
got
else would you
Gills.
throw in here?
I want to have the. I want to have What if we did like King Flagellus's ancestor or something like that, or maybe even King Flagellus themselves?
I mean, King Flagellus. We had King Flagellus the third. This could be King Flagellus the first or the second.
All right, King Flagellus the first is here, leader of the. Actually, you know what? Boom, Queen Flagellus the first, leader of the Noop. Sorry, not the Noop, the F.E.W.P. She's here. Anybody else? I feel like I have an idea. Fibers. Spiritual leader of the new Moss people.
Oh, Moss people.
Hello. You didn't think those existed, but they're here, and Fibers is here. And, you know, maybe the fungi and the moss will have something interesting to say to one another about how life works. Do you want to add anybody else?
Gil, the biggest bad necromancer, at this point. Queen Flagellus, leader of the few. No, honestly, like I thought even just two people would be enough, just because like I feel like this could be like a nice meditation of just like two characters from different sides reflecting, looking over the wasteland.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like I would have even not included Fibers, but like if you want Fibers,
Damn.
then we can have Fibers. Yeah, I'm sorry. Nothing against the moss
Um,
people. I have many moss people friends.
oh
Just
yeah,
like,
sure you do. You fucking mossist. All right. Who do you want to take?
uh, I will take Gills, the mushroom guy.
Okay. Then I will be Queen Flagellus. And do you want fibers or should I take fibers?
I can take fibers.
Okay.
I'll be all kind of like all lichens will be me.
I mean, seriously, I think lichen people are like at least a lichen sublineage. Could be kind of cool.
Yes,
All right.
crossbreeding of the myconids and the moss.
We sit at the top of the mother tree. Its leaves have gone gray with decay. We look over one of the setting suns. It shines light throughout the entire valley. We can see around to the horizon. It is gray. It is dust. It is covered in the fungal creep. But even that is slowly turning white as it dies from no substrate problems. Queen Flagellus turns to Gills, says, "Well, you finally did it." An empire on which the sun could not set.
We achieved our goal, but what a sight to behold such a vast mistake of uncalculable damage. Much to think about, yes. Much to think about, Queen Flagellus.
It might disturb you to know that my high priestess has auguried a storm coming. I wonder how well your empire will stand with none of the trees to shield it anymore, except for the mother tree.
Not enough time to build new mushroom trees. Indeed. Too quick our growth. The mushrooms most versatile. Yes, more versatile than the trees. But perhaps replacement was too quick. Symbiosis, perhaps. Symbiosis, perhaps, yes. And at this point, Fibers will yell at Gills. How many fucking people are dead because of your mistakes? The moss people, like, their spirituality is like not calm and chill. They're very passionate.
Most people are super angry.
Yeah, like it's a virtue to cultivate strong emotions. You wouldn't expect it in moss people, but that's because you're mossist.
Exactly. That's because you don't understand what moss is like on this place.
Yeah, moss people very angry.
Very angry. I think Queen Flagellus, with her, uses her wisdom and leads and breaks up the fight a little bit and says,
Yeah, I imagine Fibers just like yanking and like shaking Gills, and Gills just like letting this happen.
Yeah, I think she says, Fibers, more violence won't help us at this point. You're right to be angry. You have every right to be. I am angry. The F.E.W.P will never recover from this. Never again will there be F.E.W.P cities. I can feel it now. But destroying
how convenient that now violence is not the answer, now that we're dead and they are everywhere. Pointing at Gills.
You have a point. But I have a feeling in a very short amount of time, they will be dying too. If anything, we need to hold together now and establish a new, better order.
Yes. Stability. We thought stability would come from us ruling over everything. For the myconid is the most versatile organism. But even us have our limits. symbiosis perhaps will save us from the storm. I apologize, Queen Flagellus, for doing this the wrong way. Our conquest should have been more calm, more tested, not so rash. But perhaps it is something that our people share. After all, we were also an impulse decision, weren't we, Queen Flagellus the First?
I think Fibers also looks at Queen Flagellus in this
Yeah.
moment, and this is like not what she wanted to talk about today. This is an age of mistakes. Ones that'll hopefully be remembered in the future. If we extract bloody vengeance from one another for our mistakes at this juncture, we will never grow into the future. But if we do not discuss our mistakes, we will never learn for the future. So yes, the F.E.W.P made grave errors. And though I am still happy that Myconids exist, the manner in which we created you and the recklessness with which we modified our environment was not acceptable and is a guilt that we must take responsibility for. An apology must be given. Responsibility must be taken. In the knowledge of those things, I say, yes, Gills, I am sorry. We were guilty. We made an error. And yes, Fibers, our error cost us and you dearly. And we were partially responsible for what happened here. Even so, if we let ourselves be divided before the storm, there will be no future era in which to learn from our mistakes, to build a better and more just society under the banner of cooperation. Feel like a good
No.
scene end? Or
Feels
we
like a
got
good
more?
scene. Feels like a good scene.
All right. Extinction events. Go ham, Thea.
Extinction events. My turn. I am going to because like we can always shift like ages. I will put the extinction, the great extinction event that caused the age of floating cities at the beginning of the age of floating cities and not at the end of the birth of great cities. Because I feel like there's probably going to be stuff in between there. Yeah. And going to say that the Black Comet strike sets the ground on fire and renders the surface uninhabitable for a century. A new god lands on the planet.
Oh,
it's in the Black Comet, of course. Like it's part of the deal.
Says the god's name Ulamog.
Hey, no Magic the Gathering lore. Otherwise, Hasbro will ask us for to pay for the intellectual
exactly. Okay. So that's your first event.
That's my first event. And then I'm going to create a new era. Something that we already knew was going to come, but I will the age of fracturing. And it's going to be a dark period. This is when the planet is ripped. If that's not an extinction event, I don't know what is.
I am going to add a new era and a new event in that era. I'm going to add the era of exploration,
Yay!
which is a light era. And
Yay!
is, I think, sort of a great sort of today era for like a fantasy setting.
Yeah, I feel like the birth of great cities, era of exploration, the age of floating cities are like the core ages for like adventuring. Different vibes.
Yeah, exactly.
The birth of great cities is gonna be war, and the age of floating cities is like post-apocalypse, like exploration, and then the age of exploration is just like we go out into the wilderness, we discover new lands, meet new people. It's all good.
And the shattering furnace times are the destroy a whole bunch of the world, but in very localized ways. That is the start of the era of exploration, is that basically some huge tectonic lava event. Actually, you know what we'll call this? We'll call this, instead of the shattering furnace tide, the age of crimson rivers. Some kind of tectonic event brings a whole bunch of magma to the surface and destroys.
Okay, I'm gonna say you probably want to rename that. Just like not call it an age.
Well, that's what they call it. You know what I mean? Like
okay.
the time.
I mean,
time
just the
of
Crimson Rivers destroy a whole bunch of the world.
Yeah, destroy a whole bunch of the world, but in very localized ways, right? Like, so like a magma flow might just like come through your area and like destroy your forest, but like the city to the left and the city to the right are still there. So it produces like this very fractured pattern where like where society exists in all these isolated little cities scattered all about, right? And there's all this new wilderness in between that grows up. And so that starts the era of exploration naturally. Is that, you know, there's people everywhere and lots of space in between them that they know that there was once people there, you know? So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Time for a legacy.
Time for a legacy. Magic system or the legacy of the F.E.W.P. So now for listeners, we already have 2 legacies, so I can choose to discard my legacy and create a new one, but I can also just choose to keep the ones that we have because I think that they're cool. And I think that I'm going to expand on the legacy of the magic system. And I'm going to say that in the age of exploration, this is when, maybe as a result of the destruction of the Crimson Rivers, the great Stormbird is going to be one of the gods. Takes pity upon humans and bonds for the first time, introducing flying magic, which will be great for exploration, of course, but will also eventually help lead into the age of the floating cities.
I have a question.
Yes.
All right. Does bonding a new god necessarily create a new species of intelligent life?
I would say no, since I guess that this is principles time. I mean,
it does tie into principles, which is one of the reasons why it came up for me.
Yeah, I think that like bonding a new god, I think that like it's kind of like optional in terms of like the god can ask the people it bonds if they want to be reborn in their image.
Mm.
And this kind of also asks like, can you bond multiple gods at the same time? Can you multi-class in your magic?
Yeah, because I feel like kind of like one solution for this might be to say kind of, and the answer is the longer you stay bonded to a god, the more you become like them.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we really are following sort of a technological series, it stands to reason that each era becomes shorter. And so as we leave the dawn eras where you could be bonded to the slug god for like a millennium, like your
Mm-hmm.
city might be for a millennium worship the same creature. And so then you become slug like, right? And for a millennium, you're worshiping the bug person. So you become bug like, right? Whereas
Mm-hmm.
like the age of floating cities was like 100 years long.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you know, these new gods that are bonded and discovered regularly, they don't necessarily introduce a new sentient sort of
Yeah.
species. So that's one way you could do it, but you could also like do it differently. I was just thinking about it.
Well, I think that yeah. I mean, I think that definitely it shouldn't be the case that you bond a god, you shapeshift. Right.
Yeah, that for sure. That seems lame.
I think that it being like an optional thing, like you bond to a
Mm,
god and you get to shapeshift,
mm.
but then you can't switch back. So it's
It could
like
be
it's
like
a
a level of faith that you achieve. Like once you reach this certain level, you can take the blessing of transformation or something like that. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we could even say, like because this is kind of like a very naturally like life inspired thing. It's not
Mm,
really about like faith, but about serving. And by serving, it's kind of like feeding these gods. And
mm,
if you feed them enough, basically, by, I don't know, depending on the god, every god can be like you feed them somehow else. Predatory gods, you have to kill things with their
mm.
power. And then you partially feed them. And then if you feed them enough, the bond becomes stable enough or that you can that they get to transform you back and give you kind of like a form of power, a body of power.
A form of power, you
Yeah,
say.
I know, right? Where did I get that word from?
Oops. Um. Yeah. I mean, I
I
do
mean, the
like the
thing is
idea that
like,
it's
do we
something.
want to make it about faith? Like, I don't know. We're
No, I
not. I
mean,
don't
no, it
think.
doesn't have to be about faith, right? But I think clearly there seems to be some kind of relationship between bonding gods and becoming like them, right?
Yeah.
Because like that's what happened with the bug people, right?
Hmm.
So, I think we could set as a principle or something like that. We could say that uh, uh transforming speciation into the subspecies of that god, right, is a boon given for service. But then it's permanent, right? So like you would then like you would become a bug person, all your children would be bug people. Um, you know what I mean?
Kind of thinking, because like I like the idea that you could be like a bug person
Mm-hmm.
and that you could like bond the mushroom god,
Mm-hmm.
and then you wouldn't turn into a mushroom god, but you would be like a bug person with a kind of like mushroom lineage. Do a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of combinatorics
Yeah, so
where
like I
you
feel like
could.
what if it's like this? You're a bug person, you bond the mushroom god. You grow little spores on you, right?
Yeah.
The more you serve the mushroom god, the more you become a little bit mushroom like. And when you reach a certain threshold, something is offered to you. The
Mm-hmm.
boon of transformation. And if you take it, you become a full mushroom person. And your children will be mushroom people, and it's mushrooms all the way down now. right? And then if one of those mushroom people bonds the flying god, right? Then they would start to be able to fly a little bit. And then if they did it for a long time, they would be able to fly, a moderate bit, like an escalation from 1 to 4 to 10, right? And then if they go a little bit longer, then they get that the boon of transformation. That would be going to 10, right?
Sure,
and
sure, we can do that. I just like the idea that like there's a degree where you can be like, this people plus this god, and like I get a little bit of both because I think that would be fun. I'm a bird person, and I have bonded the keratin queen, and so like my feathers are now like a little bit closer to being scales.
Yeah.
And now, yeah.
And then if you served her for long enough, eventually you might be able to become a full bug, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, write it down.
All right. So bonding gods makes you more like them. Dedicated long-term service can give you the option of the boon of transformation, which lets you become a full creature solely in the image of your god. This is how new species can arise over time. Is that good?
Yeah, I would also like imagine that like species kind of like sublineages where there is like kind of like the influence of like two gods a little bit, if you want to, where it can be like, yeah, like we're bug people, but we're like just a little floreal. We're just little, yeah.
So like, I feel like that argues for something different than what we have here, right? And I think that something different might work better, which is the idea that bonding a god transforms you slowly in their image. The length of time and amount of dedication given to that god dictates the rate of this transformation. As ages become shorter and shorter, with technology becoming more and more advanced, new speciation is rare, but subspeciation is common, right? And then like, it's not really possible for one person to bond a god and transform over their life. It's a societal process, right? But that is not the same thing as what we said just now before.
Yeah.
So we kind of have to pick a lane. I don't see really a way to put both ideas together, right? If an individual can within their lifetime become a full bug person, then there's no need for the slow march of time to produce bug people, right? Bug people would exist on the time scale we're looking at. Bug people would exist basically the second the bug queen is discovered.
I think that in
the discovery of a new god would take with it the production of a new sentient species.
I think that in the interest of making this a good world for like RPGs, I'm going to go with the one that we have now, because it's cool for a character to be able to change into another creature type when they serve their god enough.
Okay, so that means that in this world, the rate of discovery of gods determines, like, discovering a new god essentially requires the creation of a new subspecies, like a creation of a new intelligent species, right?
Well, it's more the other way around. Creating a new intelligent subspecies requires a new god to be discovered or born.
Yeah, I mean, both. Like, it goes both ways, right? As soon as we find a god, we have to start thinking about what the people of that god look like. And if we want a new people, we have to come up with a god.
Oh, you're talking about from the point of view of the creative process, yes.
Yeah.
I thought you meant diegetically, because diegetically I was thinking like a god could exist and no one has found them. So
yeah.
There is no people.
All right, so it's your turn to do a focus.
Yeah, it's my turn to do a focus. And you can hear all about it in our next episode, where we'll talk about the gods and their rivalries.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah, I
I
think we need
think
to do
that
some of
by
that.
now, yeah, we should cut here.
Okay. Then oh, do you have any plugs then?
Do I have any plugs by now?
You've had a whole week to think about it from the
I
perspective
had a
of the
whole week to
audience.
think about it. Yeah. The audience is like, the people have been expecting. Thea, what is your plug? And I am here to
Yeah.
tell you. Have we talked about Atomic Habits already? Have you plugged it before?
No, I don't think we have.
Perfect. And I would like to plug the book Atomic Habits. It's a bestseller. Chances are you know it already because it got really popular. It's a great book that like leans into being like a self-help book, but it's really like not a traditional self-help book. It's a book about that helps you build habits, and there's a lot of focus on like the practical aspects of habit building, like your environment, your the rewards, and like the trigger for a certain habit. And it's really not focused about like building up internal confidence and stuff like that. So if you want,
Yeah,
if you're looking for something like that, but are afraid of getting some like scammy guru who is trying to like sell you a line of supplements or his coaching program for only $50 per month on a weird looking website, I think Atomic Habits is it's a good place to start.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think Atomic Habits is a great book. James Clear writes very clearly, and
Hey.
that's great. He's really, really structured. He basically summarizes the book as he's writing, which is like not like riveting from like a narrative standpoint, but really helpful for a structural understanding of what he's talking about. And I think it's a real gem in the fact that it's the rare book that says to you the secret isn't trying harder. And that's really important, right? So many self-help books, so much advice boils down to, well, if you spend more time and effort on this, you will get more out of it. And that's obvious. And it's not really helpful, in my opinion. As a person with not a lot of free time and not a lot of free energy, hearing, no, self-will is overrated. You need to engineer your environment in advance to create a situation that has no temptations to distraction, right? Clues like that, advice like that, I found really helpful. I'm going to plug Microscope. I think it's a fun game. It gives you the experience and the satisfaction of running a whole campaign with your friends without having to run the whole damn campaign with your friends. I think it's very cool, and I think you can do a lot of fun stuff with it, and it kind of scratches an itch that you don't get to scratch very much with TTRPGs, which is like the big story of how magic came back to the world, right? Or the big story about whatever. So, Ways, that is my plug. That is your plug. If you want to, oh, by the way, if you want to see our spreadsheet, we've linked, the final spreadsheet has been linked in every single description up until now. And that'll just about do it for our 25th episode. If you want more, you can find us on youtube.com/@a-friendly-orbit, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you happen to have any Astro Echoes you want to share with us, you can email us at friendlyorbit.com. Not true. You can email us at friendlyorbit@gmail.com. All one word. Sorry.
You good?
Yeah. I mean,
All right.
Don't you say something at the end?
Yes, I do. I wasn't clear if you were like laughing still, like quietly or something. But yeah.
I just got it wrong.
Yeah.
That's all. My brain dies a little bit every time I read it.
All right, Mega Series. This joke is running old, so I'll talk to you later. And to follow for our fellow Voyagers, we will catch you out there amongst the stars.